The perfect surprise. The sun poured down on the small town of Maplewood, bathing everything in golden light. Not a single cloud dared to obscure the deep blue sky, and the crisp winter air felt surprisingly warm. In a cozy little house on Elm Street, April Matthews was humming to herself as she moved around the kitchen, a flurry of energy. "Babe," she called, her voice bright and buoyant. "Since it's almost your birthday and Valentine's Day, I decided that today I would make it the best day of your life." From the living room, Helen Carter looked up from her phone, her light green eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Really? Thanks, babe. I love you." She flashed a sincere smile that made April's heart flutter. Helen always had that effect on her. "Just wait and see." April grinned, trying to contain her excitement as she gestured for Helen to join her. "We've got to get moving." As they hopped into Helen's little car, the anticipation crackled in the air. April turned the key in the ignition, and the engine purred to life. They pulled onto the main road, heading toward an unknown destination. "Do you want me to get that?" Helen asked when April's phone buzzed insistently in her lap. "Yes, babe, please." April kept her eyes glued to the road, her heart racing with the thrill of the surprise she had planned. Helen answered the call, her brow furrowing slightly. "Okay. Hi. Who is it?" She paused, listening intently. "April? This is her girlfriend." "Yes, sure, I can tell her." "How much time?" 20 minutes? "Okay. Thank you, have a nice day." Helen hung up, her expression shifting from confusion to excitement. You made a reservation at my favorite restaurant?" April nodded, the grin on her face widening. "Yep. We have to be there in 20 minutes. Helen's eyes lit up, and she clasped April's hand. "Wait. We have to hurry then. I got this, I think. Well, I hope." But just as they turned onto the highway, the world ahead of them turned red. Brake lights lit up like fireflies in a twilight forest. Cars stopped, some honking in frustration. "What's going on?" Helen asked, her excitement dimming as she leaned forward to peer out the windshield. "Looks like a traffic jam," April said, her heart sinking. "Just great. We're going to be late. Can't you go around?" Helen suggested, her voice a mix of concern and hope. "Not really. The road's blocked off." "I can't believe this is happening," April groaned, thumping the steering wheel lightly. "Ugh, why today of all days?" Helen rubbed April's shoulder gently. "Hey, it's okay. We'll get there. Just breathe." April took a deep breath, but the tension in her stomach only tightened. "I had everything planned out perfectly. The dinner, the flowers, the surprise," Helen prompted, a teasing glint in her eye. April chuckled despite her frustration. "Yeah, that. But the surprise is going to be ruined if we can't make it." "Let's just make the best of it," Helen said, leaning back in her seat. "Tell me about the surprise while we wait." April turned to her, the worry slipping away as she saw the love shining in Helen's eyes. "Okay, well, I thought we could relive our first date. You remember that little Italian place on Maple Street?" "Of course. The one with the red checkered tablecloths." "Exactly. And then we could go for a walk by the lake," April continued, her voice growing more animated. "I even bought a picnic basket." "A picnic? In February?" Helen laughed. "You're crazy." "Crazy for you," April shot back, winking. "And then, I thought I could ask you something special." Helen's eyes widened. "Something special? Like what?" "Just something that might change everything for us," April said, her heart pounding faster than the traffic around them. "Okay, now you have to tell me," Helen insisted, bouncing slightly in her seat. Okay, but I want to do it at the lake under the stars. It'll be magical, I promise," April said, her voice softening as she imagined the moment. "That sounds amazing. But I still want to know what you're planning, Helen said, crossing her arms playfully. The cars ahead began to inch forward, and April felt a spark of hope. We might just make it, she said, her fingers tightening around the steering wheel. We just need to keep moving. Let's go. Helen cheered, her spirit infectious. As the traffic started to clear, April maneuvered the car with renewed determination. They drove through the heart of Maplewood, the familiar sights flashing by. The little bakery they often visited, the park where they had spent countless afternoons, the high school where they had met. Each place was a reminder of how far they had come. Finally, they reached the restaurant, and April's heart surged with relief. We made it, she exclaimed, parking the car and turning to Helen with a wide grin. Now let's make sure the surprise is still on. They hurried inside, the scent of garlic and fresh bread enveloping them. The hostess greeted them with a warm smile. Your table is ready. As they walked through the bustling restaurant, Helen squeezed April's hand. I can't believe you pulled this off. Just wait until dessert, April teased, her excitement bubbling over. They settled into their cozy booth, laughter filling the air as they reminisced about their first date. Helen's eyes sparkled with joy as she shared her favorite moments, and April felt a warmth spreading through her chest. Can you believe it's been 7 years? Helen asked, her voice softening as she gazed into April's eyes. It feels like just yesterday, April replied, her heart racing. And yet, we've built so much together. The server returned with their meals, and they savored the moment, sharing bites and playful banter. Okay, I have to ask, Helen said, leaning in. What's the special surprise? Patience, my love, April said, her heart thudding. We need to finish dinner first. Fine, but you're killing me here. Helen laughed, rolling her eyes dramatically. They finished their meal, and the server cleared their plates. Dessert? He asked, a knowing smile on his face. Yes, please, April said, her heart racing. And make it special. As the server disappeared, Helen leaned forward, her expression curious. Seriously, what's in that basket you've been carrying around all night? Just a little something, April said, trying to contain her excitement. But first, let's enjoy dessert. When the dessert arrived, a decadent chocolate cake topped with strawberries, Helen's eyes widened. This looks incredible. They dove into the cake, laughter ringing out as they playfully fed each other bites. When the last crumb was gone, Helen leaned back, satisfied. That was amazing. But now about that surprise. Okay, April said, her heart pounding. Let's head to the lake. Now, Helen asked, glancing at the clock. It's getting late. Trust me, April said, rising from the table. You're going to love this. As they stepped outside, the cool night air wrapped around them, and the stars twinkled above like 1,000 tiny diamonds. April led Helen to the lake, the water shimmering under the moonlight. This is beautiful, Helen breathed, taking in the scene. I had no idea you planned all of this. Just wait. April reached into the picnic basket she had brought, pulling out a small blanket. She spread it on the grass, gesturing for Helen to sit. Once they were settled, April took a deep breath, her heart racing. Okay, Helen, there's something I want to ask you. Something important. Helen's eyes widened, the playful glint replaced with curiosity and a hint of nervousness. What is it? April reached into the basket again, her fingers trembling slightly as she pulled out a small velvet box. She opened it, revealing a simple yet elegant ring, glinting in the moonlight. Helen Carter, will you marry me? Silence hung in the air for a heartbeat, and then Helen's eyes filled with tears. Oh my God, April, she gasped, covering her mouth in shock. Are you serious? Absolutely. April's voice was steady, filled with love and hope. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. You're my everything. Yes. Yes, 1,000 times yes, Helen cried, leaping forward to wrap her arms around April. Tears of joy streamed down Helen's face as she pulled back to look at the ring. This is perfect. I can't believe you did this. April slipped the ring onto Helen's finger, feeling a rush of happiness. I wanted it to be special. It is. This is the best surprise ever. Helen laughed, wiping her tears. I love you so much. I love you too, April said, her heart swelling with happiness. They sat together under the stars, the world fading away as they held each other close. The lake shimmered like a dream, and in that moment, everything felt right. The laughter, the love, the promise of tomorrow. It all blended together in a perfect harmony. In the distance, the soft sound of the water lapping against the shore echoed, a gentle reminder that they were exactly where they were meant to be. As they held each other, the world around them seemed to fade into a soft murmur, punctuated only by the gentle lapping of the water against the shore. April felt the weight of Helen's happiness radiating through her, and she couldn't help but smile. Can you believe we're actually engaged? Helen whispered, her fingers tracing the delicate band on her finger. This feels surreal. Surreal and perfect, April replied, her heart swelling with love. I've dreamed of this moment for so long, and now it's finally here. Helen leaned back, gazing up at the stars twinkling overhead. Look at them, she said, her voice softening. It's like they're all cheering for us. Definitely, April agreed, her eyes following Helen's gaze. They're our little audience tonight. Helen chuckled softly, then turned to April, her expression serious but warm. You know, everyone thought we were just a phase. They said we'd grow out of this, that it was just some teenage fling. Right, April said, shaking her head. But here we are, 7 years later, planning our future together. I think we've shown them that love isn't a phase, Helen replied, her voice gaining strength. It's who we are. I want to shout it from the rooftops. I want everyone to know how much I love you. Let's do it. Let's make a huge announcement. April laughed, the excitement bubbling up in her chest. We'll have a big celebration, invite all our friends and family, and we'll make our own traditions, Helen said, her eyes gleaming with ideas. Like a yearly picnic by the lake or a dance under the stars. I love that. And what about our honeymoon? April asked, her mind racing with possibilities. We could go anywhere. The beach, the mountains, or even Europe. Helen's laughter filled the night air. I can see it now. Us lounging on a beach, sipping cocktails and soaking up the sun. Or hiking in the Alps hand in hand, April added, her imagination taking flight. Exploring quaint little villages together. And making memories, Helen said, her voice dropping to a soft whisper. Just like we've always done. April nodded, feeling the weight of their journey together. You know, we've overcome so much. The doubt, the judgment. All of it made us stronger. Exactly, Helen said, her expression turning resolute. No matter what anyone thinks, we have each other. And that's all that matters. They shared a moment of silence, letting their words settle in the stillness around them. The night felt magical, and the bond they shared deepened even further. Do you think your grandparents will come around? April asked, her voice gentle. She knew Helen's family had struggled with their relationship, especially at the beginning. I hope so, Helen replied, her smile faltering for a moment. I want them to see how happy you make me. I want them to see that love is love, no matter what. April squeezed her hand. They'll come to see it in time. You're not just my girlfriend. You're my partner. And I'll always be here to support you. Helen beamed at her, the spark of determination igniting in her eyes. I can't wait to show them the life we're building together. We'll prove them wrong. With renewed energy, April stood up, pulling Helen with her. Come on. Let's dance. Here? Now. Helen laughed, glancing around. In the middle of winter? Why not? April twirled, her laughter ringing out into the night. Just because it's cold doesn't mean we can't enjoy ourselves. Helen's laughter joined hers, and before long, they were dancing together on the blanket, lost in their own little world. The moonlight illuminated their faces, casting a soft glow around them. As they swayed to the rhythm of their hearts, April pulled Helen closer. "You're so beautiful," she murmured, gazing into Helen's eyes. "And you're my everything," Helen replied, her voice filled with warmth. They danced under the stars, their laughter echoing across the lake, creating a memory they would cherish forever. After a while, they collapsed onto the blanket, breathless from their impromptu dance. "Okay, I think my feet are numb," Helen giggled, hugging her knees to her chest. April laughed, rolling onto her side to face her. "Mine too. But it was worth it." "Definitely," Helen said, her expression turning thoughtful. "I just can't believe we're actually getting married. It feels like a dream." "Not a dream, a beautiful reality," April replied, her heart swelling. "And I can't wait to start planning our life together." Helen's eyes sparkled with mischief. "You know what that means, right? I get to plan the wedding." "Wait, what?" April protested, feigning shock. "I thought that was my job." "Oh no," Helen said, waving her hands dramatically. "You always plan everything. It's my turn to take charge." Okay, but I want a say in the colors and the flowers." April laughed, playfully nudging Helen. "Deal. But I'm picking the cake," Helen said, her eyes dancing with excitement. "Fine. But I get to choose the music," April countered, raising an eyebrow. "All right, we can negotiate," Helen said with a grin. "But I'm definitely picking the venue. I have the perfect place in mind." "Okay, let's hear it." April leaned in, intrigued. "Remember that old barn on the edge of town? The one with the fairy lights?" Helen's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "I can already picture it." "Oh, that would be magical." April nodded, her imagination running wild. "We could have an outdoor ceremony and a cozy reception inside." "Exactly. And we'll dance under the stars just like tonight." Helen's voice was filled with warmth. As they sat side by side, their fingers intertwined, the future stretched out before them like an endless horizon. They could see it clearly, filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a beautiful life together. "I can't wait for all our adventures," April said softly, resting her head on Helen's shoulder. "Me too," Helen replied, wrapping her arms around April. "With you, every day is an adventure." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars twinkle above them. The world felt right and their hearts were full. "Hey, can I ask you something?" Helen said after a while. "Of course," April replied, intrigued. "What's one thing you hope for in our future?" Helen asked, her gaze steady and sincere. April thought for a moment, her heart swelling with affection. "I hope we always find joy in the little things. Like cooking together, lazy Sunday mornings, and spontaneous road trips." "I love that," Helen said, her expression softening. "What about you?" "I hope we never lose sight of what brought us together," April said. "Our love, our friendship, the laughter. I want to keep that alive no matter what." Helen nodded, her eyes shining with understanding. "No matter what challenges we face, we'll always have each other." "Always," April promised, squeezing Helen's hand tightly. As the night wore on, the air cooled, and the stars continued to twinkle above them. They remained wrapped in each other's warmth, a perfect picture of love and commitment, ready to face whatever the future held together. With their hearts intertwined and their dreams set in motion, they knew that no matter the challenges ahead, their love would light the way. And as they sat there, two souls united, the world around them faded into nothingness, because in that moment, they had everything they ever wanted.